Hey there, this is Jexy with the Systems Alliance, and in this video, we're going to go over the news that EA has just canceled yet another Star Wars game, and maybe they don't actually want the Star Wars franchise at all. So first we have to go back in time a bit, and when we go back, Star Wars wasn't exclusively with EA. Any developer could make games from them. Anyone could publish games for them as long as you went to Lucas and said, okay, here's what we want to do, and it was approved. So you had a lot of great games that came out as a result because there was a lot of different people, different teams with different great ideas. So times were good. You had Republic Commander, you had KOTOR, you had Shadows of the Empire, you had all of these great Star Wars games because there was just the odds that someone would make a great game was pretty good. And even when there were bad Star Wars games, people didn't really mind because they just wouldn't buy those, and then they would buy one of the ones that was good. And what that gave the consumer was just choice. They could choose all different types of Star Wars games, and they would have a lot of fun. But then Disney came in, and Bob Iger said, hey, we're Disney. We don't know anything about gaming, so we're canceling LucasArts, and we're just going to give it to one publisher who apparently they said they trust, and they gave it to EA. So doesn't make me think very highly of Disney throwing a property like Star Wars over to EA because that's someone you trust to do a good job. I mean, there's no more tone-deaf thing than that. So that doesn't necessarily surprise me because given what Kathleen Kennedy and everyone else has done with the Star Wars movies lately to piss off all their fans, it looks like they just don't know how to manage Star Wars, period. And I'm not even sure what's going on with EA anymore because, they have this strong IP. You would think like, okay, Star Wars fans, probably good chance that they're gamers. Gamers, good chance that they're Star Wars fans. It should be easy to make all the money in the world for making a decent Star Wars game. And not just one, but multiple. But even a company as big as EA does have finite resources, so they can't just pour all the money into Star Wars and make multiple games. I mean, they have to save some for FIFA and all these other games, and FIFA's just making EA $1 billion a year, no matter what. So they're always looking for the next game to be $1 billion a year creator, because FIFA doesn't take a lot of resources to create the game. I mean, it's a sports game. They can only improve so much, but if you make a new game every single time, that's more expensive. You'd still make hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, but the way EA sees it, if you can't make me $1 billion every single year with just one game that comes out, then what good are you to me? But I really think that's the wrong strategy, because I think if you have a license like Star Wars, you could make billions and billions and billions on the games. Just make good games, keep putting them out. You don't need just one game every few years and microtransaction the hell out of it, because ever since EA has had Star Wars, they've botched Star Wars Battlefront. That wasn't a good game. And Star Wars Battlefront 2, while a better game, was actually way worse. I mean, just look at the score here. Look at the actual score of the game. It's garbage. It's the lowest user score I think I've ever seen. And why? Because they completely tied the progression system of the game to loot boxes. It was the only way to get anywhere in the game, because they slowed it to a crawl, just like they've done for Call of Duty Black Ops 4. They slowed it to a pace where you would never even get to play with your Darth Vader, your Luke Skywalker, the people that any other Star Wars game pre-EA you could just play as, or at least, beat the game and then play it. Whatever it is, it was never difficult. And they took something that you used to have for free, they separated it out, and then they charged you for it. Then they lied a whole bunch of times, of course, all the way through that, but still. So Amy Hennig was working on a single-player Star Wars game for EA with Visceral Studios. And now she comes from Naughty Dog fame, Uncharted. She's done a whole bunch of stuff. She is a legend in the gaming world. She just, creative genius is Amy. So everyone was like, this is going to be awesome. A single player Star Wars game? Like, this is what we've just been wanting, But I guess EA came in and saw that, I don't know if we can make $1 billion a year on this. How are you going to do that for me? And of course she was like, if the game sells well, make a lot of money. I'm not trying to make $1 billion a year. I'm trying to make a great game that just makes a really big profit. Is that not enough for you? So EA, of course, said, no, it's not enough, canceled the game, and shut down Visceral Studios, another one on the list of studios that EA has killed. So although that was shut down and a lot of people wanted Amy's version of that game, the single-player version that you can just enjoy and play, instead they said, okay, even though we're shutting that down, we're going to give you an open world version of the game. And they probably would have put in a bunch of, microtransactions, probably had multiplayer, all this stuff so that they can make more and more money. Well, now EA has canceled that game. So that game's not happening either. And it's just surprising to me that, why are you going around canceling Star Wars games? Just make some Star Wars games. Why even put the money into it in the beginning just to get $0 out of it later? What is your goal? Do you need it to make $1 billion every single year? Because if you don't make anything, you're not going to make a dime. Maybe you could make $1 billion one year. Is that not good enough? And then work on another one? I'm really not sure why EA is making these decisions. And even more so, why Disney is letting them make these decisions. Why Disney ever signed on and said, EA, you have 100% right to do whatever you want. Because even Bob Iger ended up calling Andrew Wilson up during the Star Wars Battlefront 2 fiasco and was like, guys, you can't put in these microtransactions. Stop this, stop all this stuff. People are starting to hate Star Wars. And of course, that pretty much started where we're at now with all the countries going against loot boxes, creating laws because you had Congress people standing up saying Star Wars Battlefront 2 is just a Star Wars themed casino designed to be predatory against kids. I mean, not the stuff you want to hear as Disney. Like, you don't want gambling being targeted at children if you're Disney. But that's what you get when you align yourself with EA. And that's why Bob Iger and Disney were stupid for doing that. But, of course, to be fair, Disney's doing a great job on their own making people hate Star Wars by making movies that people don't like. So there is that. They got 2 in a row there. But honestly, I think Star Wars, both in gaming and in movies, is pretty easy to win the fans back over. I think they'll be very forgiving if you just put out something that's good. That's why I think if they put out the next episode and it's great, I think you'll win Star Wars fans back. Will it make as much money as the previous ones? Maybe not, but you'll still make a ton of money and you won't lose money like you did with Solo. But they have to make it good, and they haven't done that with the past 2 films. Same with the games. Everything that EA puts out is bad, and everything that they cancel sounds good. So they just need to stop doing that. So now the only game left in development for Star Wars by EA is Fallen Order by Respawn, who made Titanfall. So I'm just looking at this going, are they going to cancel that too? And at this point, we don't even know what type of game that's going to be. That information isn't confirmed out there yet. Like, who knows? I have no idea what type of game that's going to be. So really don't have any comment on that yet. Don't know if it's going to be good or bad, crazy monetized, or, it's something we might actually like. Right now, we don't know that. But it is confirmed that the game they were working on that I just mentioned is completely dead. So that's pretty much done at this point. And once again, it shouldn't be hard to make all the money in the world off of a Star Wars video game if you make it good. And just make multiple ones, all different kinds. Just make them. And I don't know if the problem is Disney saying, well, it needs to be in canon or whatever the hell is going on. I don't know, but it really shouldn't be this difficult. And like I said, if you do it well, the fans will come back. Take some time now, because now Star Wars games suck, Star Wars movies suck. I guess the TV shows are going pretty good, but a lot of people are mad, right? So the way to win them over, just put out something good. So in an interview recently on Kinda Funny Games, Gary Whitta, who is one of the screenwriters for Star Wars Rogue One, honestly, Rogue One to me, out of all the new movies since Disney has taken over, is my favorite Star Wars movie. Unnecessary? Sure, yeah, we didn't need that one, didn't do much, but it is, in my opinion, the best movie, kind of by far, in terms of ones that have come out since Disney. And he also used to be editor-in-chief of PC Gamer, so, he knows gaming, and switched over to be a screenwriter. He knows Star Wars. So just take a look at what he has to say here.
How you feeling as a Star Wars fan, as somebody who contributed to the lore of Star Wars with Rogue One, and a video game fan, more importantly?
I mean, it's embarrassing, isn't it?
Yes.
Deal was signed in 2013. It's a 10-year deal. So we're pretty much just over halfway through the deal at this point. We're kind of at the halfway point. So let's imagine I'm Bob Iger. I'm the head of Disney. And I call in the EA guys. We're at the halfway point in the deal.
Yeah.
Let's check in and see how you guys have been doing. What do you give us a progress report? Well, we put out 2 Battlefront games, one of which didn't have a story at all, both of which were kind of mediocre.
Yeah.
And one of which ended up being a major embarrassment because of the microtransaction fiasco, not just to EA, but to Disney and the Star Wars brand. I mean, Disney had to get involved and say, sort this out because this is annoying us now. Like this at the highest levels.
This has resonated this highly.
At the highest levels of Disney and Star Wars, this is embarrassing to us.
So it's pretty crazy to see this and see, wow, I guess even people who work for Disney on Star Wars think that this exclusive deal with EA sucks. I mean, there's no way around it. It sucks. I mean, you look at it, as he said, what have they done? 2 games, one had no story and sucked, and the other one that was better but still not amazing brought the wrath of entire countries down upon them and put a spotlight on Disney for how poorly they're treating children. Yeah, not exactly too good. But the big news is that EA's CEO, Andrew Wilson, according to an article by Jason Schreier, apparently he's never been a huge fan of the deal to begin with. So really, that's kind of news, although you would look at their production of Star Wars games and you would say, yeah, that makes sense, but still, pretty big news. So obviously EA has come out and denied this whole thing. You know, oh no, we never said that, or Andrew Wilson, he never said that. You know, we love Star Wars, or whatever it is that they said. Yeah, you can say that, but let's be honest. You're not happy with Star Wars. And why wouldn't Andrew Wilson be happy with Star Wars? Well, let's just take a look at him. He rose through the ranks of EA by developing the loot boxes that you now see in FIFA. You know, he's the CEO now. And although he wasn't CEO when he came up with it, he got to CEO because he made them so much money with these loot boxes. So taking a look at what he likes, he also likes the games to be on their own engine, which is why everything's on Frostbite now, even if it doesn't work. You know, hello Mass Effect Andromeda. And he likes to own their own IPs. And with Star Wars, it's not theirs. You know, he doesn't own that. Disney owns that. And which means he doesn't have all the control over it. And if he can't have the control, he can't monetize it the way he wants to. And since he didn't come up with Star Wars or have the fans, they didn't react well when they tried to make Star Wars Battlefront 2 like FIFA and just be this loot box crazy system where people were just stupid and shoved all their money at it. That's not how Star Wars fans were, and they didn't react the same way as FIFA fans. So the Disney deal with Star Wars runs to 2023. It was a 10-year deal, so they still have many years left. So a lot of people are thinking, well, if the CEO of EA, he doesn't like it so much, they can't monetize it the way that they want to, so it'll never, even though they could make billions of dollars, they'd have to actually put in a lot of effort. It's not as easy as like a mobile game or shoving loot boxes into a game like FIFA. The fans won't put up with it, so we can't make money like that. We actually have to put out a good game, and they just don't like us in general right now, so the games just aren't selling as well as they could. We've created this whole storm around the world that will never allow us to monetize games like we used to due to the loot boxes targeted at children, which is just illegal gambling. Is it worth it? Is it worth it to still have Star Wars, you know? And people are saying, well, you know, shoot, Bungie left Activision. They broke that contract. Could this be one of the same things? Well, here's why I think they won't. Even if maybe internally they want a split, even if externally everyone wants a split, even if, you know, Bob Iger would probably be okay with a split, here's why they won't. And they won't because look what happened when Bungie left Activision. Look at Activision Blizzard's stock price. Tanked 10% immediately, never recovered, now being sued by investors over that decision. It is an absolute crap fest over there at Activision Blizzard. Because of that, why would EA want to do that to themselves? They could just hold on to it a little bit longer, maybe try to put games out. But I think as a Star Wars fan, as a gamer who wants to play Star Wars games, I think until the contract's up in 2023, we really just shouldn't expect anything great. So at the end of the day, while obviously we wish that, you know, right now there would be a split so we could have good Star Wars games, I don't see it happening. And I think Disney also has too much on their plate right now. So while Disney has too much on their plate, dealing with the whole, loot box thing, they got all of that to worry about, all the legal ramifications, and then, Star Wars stuff on top of it. Disney, on their own right, with Star Wars, has too much to worry about right now. They're trying to rebuild that brand. Now, would it be smart to give it to someone else? Would that help the brand? Of course. But Disney doesn't seem to be that smart. They don't seem to understand the fans of Star Wars. They don't seem to understand what they actually want, and they don't seem to understand how to deliver on that. So when I take a look at Disney, they're just trying to make the movies good. That's what they're trying to do. They know movies. Disney knows movies. Disney is the most successful movie studio out there by far. Yeah, the last Star Wars movie didn't make any money. It lost money. Solo lost money. And the last episode didn't do too well either in terms of fan reaction. But Marvel makes all the money. The Disney animated makes all the money. The Disney live action is making all the money. So they're still doing a great job, and they know movies. They just don't know Star Wars. So they're trying to fix that. I don't think they want to spend their time trying to fix the gaming side too, because if they take it away from EA, or EA agrees to let them go, who does Disney give it to? If they were smart, they just have LucasArts, hire the people, you guys go do that. But they already got rid of them, and that was their mistake to begin with. So let me know your thoughts about all of this. What do you think about EA shutting down 2 Star Wars games that actually sounded good? And what do you think your chances are of getting a good Star Wars game before the contract is up with EA in 2023? Do you think you'll actually get a good Star Wars game? Do you think that maybe they should just cut it and maybe it won't impact EA stock so much like Bungie did with Activision? Or do you think they're probably just going to hold on to it and we're just going to have to live with it? And what do you think about Disney's decision to give Star Wars to EA of all companies in the first place? What do you think about that? And what do you think about Disney and rebuilding or trying to rebuild the Star Wars brand after all of this, the games, the movies, everything? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Twitter, and we'll catch you next time.